We continue with the chapter. We can represent the data graphically in order to get a clear idea. So we have pictograph, bar graph and double bar graph are used to represent the data graphically. So pictograph and bar graph are used to represent the ungrouped data. So these two graphs are used for representing the ungrouped data. Now suppose if the data is grouped, then also we can represent the data graphically, and the name of the graph is a histogram. Today we are going to learn about the histogram and how we can draw a histogram. Histogram is the graphical representation of grouped data. So graphical representation of grouped frequency distribution. Then the name of the graph is a histogram. So here look at that, here the picture of the histogram, and here the grouped data is divided into different groups, and each group we can call it as a class intervals. So the class intervals are given and the corresponding frequencies are also given. Now the class intervals are 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 8 and 8 to 10. Now the class intervals here in the graph, you can see that we have the axis, x-axis, the horizontal line is known as x-axis, horizontal line we can call it as x-axis, x-axis, and vertical line we can call it as a y-axis, y-axis. The horizontal line is x-axis and the vertical line is y-axis. And the class intervals are marked on the x-axis. These class intervals you have to mark it on a x-axis. And the frequencies you have to mark it on y-axis. The frequencies are marked on the y-axis. And here the class intervals are given, the class intervals are continuous, and therefore there is no gap between the bars. So here also we have to draw the bars, and there is no gap between the bars because the class intervals are given, the class intervals are also continuous, continuously it is given. Therefore there is no gap between the bars. And this type of graph is known as, the name of the graph is a histogram. So here also we have to draw the vertical bars, and the width of the bar should remain the same because the size of the class intervals remains the same. Therefore the width of the bar also remains the same. And the height of the bar corresponds to the frequency of each class interval, the height of the bar. Now consider the class interval 0 to 2. So the frequency is given as 2. So the height is the height of the bar, we can take it as a, so we have to mention the scale also. So where we can mention the scale for the y-axis, we have to mention the scale. Suppose this 1 square box is given, suppose, and this 1 square box, if it is taken as a 1 centimeter or a 1 unit, if it is taken as a 1, so we can say that 1 unit equal to 1 depending upon the data, or a 1 centimeter is equal to 1. Then 2 centimeters it is given as a 2. Therefore the height of the bar corresponds to the frequency of the given class interval. Now look at the question. The grouped frequency distribution of the marks obtained by 60 students in mathematics test is given below. Draw a histogram. So you have to draw a histogram. So look at that, if the class intervals are given, you have to draw a histogram. So because it is the grouped frequency distribution, and we can divide the data into different groups, grouped frequency distribution. And if the groups are given, then we have to draw the histogram. Grouped frequency distribution. Now we have to take the graph sheet. You have to draw the graph in the graph sheet. And first of all, we have to draw the horizontal axis and vertical axis. Then we have the vertical axis. the horizontal axis x axis, and the vertical axis you can mark it as y axis. And along the x axis, horizontal axis, you have to mark the class interval, and the frequencies we have to mark it on a y axis. Now look at the frequencies 2, 10, 21, 19, 7, 1. So first of all you have to decide the scale. Right hand side corner you have to write down the scale. So scale on y axis, 1 centimeter or 1 unit equal to the grouped frequency distribution of the marks obtained by 60 students. So the marks are divided into different groups and the corresponding values are given as the frequency, and the 60 students in mathematics test. So frequency means here the number of students. How many students got, that means the marks between 0 and 10, which includes 0, 2 students. So the frequency denotes the number of students. Frequency means here it will denote the number of students. So it is related to the number of students. Therefore, the number of students we can mark it on y axis, and how we can take the scale. So on y axis 1 centimeter equal to, so for this one square box we can take it as a 2 students. Okay, so 0, here 0, the meeting point of the two axes. So we can take it as a 0, it is the origin, we can take it as 0. Then this 1 unit or 1 centimeter we can take it as a 2 students. So the scale we can write on y axis 1 centimeter is equal to 2 students. Then here this point 2, then 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Now the class intervals 0 to 10, here we have 0, then 10 we can mark it here. Then next is a 10 to 20, then 30, 40, 50, 40 to 50, then next is a 50 to 60. Then look at the first class interval 0 to 10, and the corresponding frequency is 2. So what is the height of the bar? 2 we have to select. So on my y axis 1 centimeter is equal to 2. So this 1 centimeter we have to take it as 2. We selected as 2, therefore we have to draw a vertical bar. Then next is a 10 to 20. 10 to 20. So 10 to 20 it is a given 10. 10. Then 10 to 20. Next is 20 to 30, 21. 20 to 30, 21. So this one is 20, next one is 1 centimeter, that is given as 2 units. So in the middle it will be 21. So this one will be 21. 21. Next is 19. 30 to 40, 19. So 19 will come here. 19. 40 to 57, 7. 40 to 57. So here it is 6, next is 8. So the middle line denotes 7. So 7. Then 50 to 60, 1. 50 to 60 is a 1. 1 means here it is 0. So after 5 small divisions it will be 1. Therefore 50 to 60 it is 1. So this one will be 1. Here it is a 1. Then 1, 2. So this 1 centimeter we can select as a 2. Okay, 1 unit equal to 2 we can select, or 1 centimeter equal to 2. And here the number of students are considered, so we can take it as a 2 students. Then here it is a 10. Then here it is a 21. And here it is a 19. Then here it is a 7. So this one will be 7. So here the class intervals are given. So we can write a class interval. Class interval. And here the frequencies are given. So we can write it as a frequency. Or we can write as a number of students. Okay, number of students, or here the marks. Number of students, frequency or number of students. Number of students. So this type of graph we can call it as the histogram. Histogram. Now one more question. The weights in kilogram of 30 employees in an organization are given below. Draw a histogram. So here look at that, the class intervals are given. So what is the meaning of that? It is a grouped frequency distribution table. So the data is divided into different groups and the corresponding values are also given. That means weight is given, weight is divided into different groups, and the number of employees belongs to each group is also given. That means the frequency is given. So class interval, so here it is given as a, we can write it as the class interval, then here it is the frequency. Now we have to draw the histogram. First we have to draw the x-axis and y-axis. The vertical line we can call it as y-axis. Then after that, look at the number of employees. That means look at the frequency. You have to select the scale. And this one square box we can take it as 1 centimeter or 1 unit. And we have to give the scale for this y-axis only. So on y-axis, this 1 centimeter or 1 unit equal to how many employees. So here it is given as the maximum value is 12. Then you count it whether if you can take it as a 1 unit equal to or 1 centimeter is equal to 1 employee. Maximum you have to get 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we will get it. So we can write the scale as scale. Right hand side corner you have to mention the scale. So on y-axis, 1 centimeter is equal to 1 employee. 1 centimeter is equal to 1 employee. Now on x-axis you have to mark the class intervals and the corresponding frequencies are on the y-axis. Now here look at the class intervals. The class intervals are started from 50 onwards, 50 to 60. It is not from 0 onwards. It is not from 0 onwards. So the previous question you can see that the class intervals are started from 0 to 10, from 0 onwards. But in the next question it is not started from 0. it is started from 50 onwards. So what we have to do is, here it is a 0, then this is a first square box, you have to put a symbol like this, a jagged line, a jagged line or a broken line you have to show. That means in order to indicate that the class intervals are not started from 0, it is started from 50 onwards. That means the observations we are not showing the observations below 50, we are not showing. So along the horizontal line, that means along the x axis, you have to mark a jagged line or a broken line in order to indicate that we are not starting from 0, we started from 50 onwards. So if the class intervals are not started from 0, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, not in that way. For example, it is started from 50 onwards, what we have to do? We have to put a jagged line. Then after that only you have to mark the class interval. So you have to start from here 50, 50 to 60. So 50 to 60. Next is a 60 to 70. Then next is a 70 to 80. Next one is a 80 to 90. So 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90. Then here 1 centimeter equal to 1 employee. So we can mark it as 1. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now 50 to 60, 8. 50 to 60 it is given as 8. Next 60 to 70, 12. Next one is 70 to 80, 6. 70 to 80 is given as 6. Then 80 to 90, 4. 80 to 90. So this graph is known as, the name of the graph is histogram. Histogram. So here we have weight in kilogram or the class intervals. Anyway, you can write class intervals, class interval, or we can say that weight in kilogram or weight in kilogram. Here number of employees or frequency. Number of employees, or you can write as a frequency. Anyone only you have to write it. Number of employees or a frequency, and here we can mark it as a class intervals or weight in kilogram. And the graphical representation of the group to frequency distribution, that we can call it as the histogram. So that's all for today's class. Thank you.